Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room. We've got the three of us nerds in here just chatting a bunch of stuff. I may or may not have said something right before I started going into it. So it is obviously consumed Aaron. That's okay, though.
We can. This is going to be in the pile of episodes that we can never release, or at least we have to start over. I can't.
No way. I'm going into it, baby.
That's personal hygiene. That's an STS line item. So you have to talk about it.
Personal hygiene. All right. Anyway, so we had a guest not show up. So there is something that we wanted to say to you guys, and we wanted to kind of cover, and we'll start with the pipeline, but it's kind of the do's and don'ts of in the pipeline. There's a lot of do's and don'ts. Maybe we'll be able to remember all of them. I'm sure that we can't cover the entirety of what you should or should not do during the pipeline, but I'm sure at some point it'll start to morph of some other kind of rants. So, Aaron, let's start with you, buddy. What is one thing that you for sure should not do in the pipeline?
For sure should not do in the pipeline. So we're gonna go all the way back, right? Like we're gonna go all the way back to when you're talking to your recruiter and you're in depth and whatever. Guys, girls, non-defined people that are going in aspect work. Listen, there is no reason to start talking like you're in the military when you're in the DEP program. So just don't do it. There's no reason to start like speaking in military stuff. Hey, I'll be in at 0700 sharp in order to get the PCIs and PCC. Like, take it easy, guy. You're at McDonald's, right? Like, you don't need to start talking. And by the way, when you're in the military, that's really annoying. When people talk in like consistent military speak, it's cringy. Like, there are times where you need to use the language and understand terminology, but just don't do it too early. There's no reason. And then you really don't need to do it outside of work. There's a lot of times where I'll text somebody and somebody will write back, they'll be like, check Roger, big hooyah. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to throw my phone in the ocean. Because that was it's terrible. It's just annoying. And it makes
some of that is being facetious, though, at least depending on who you're talking to.
Well, listen, I love nothing more than a good sarcastic hooyah. That's a way to tell, like, if I really hate you at work, if I really do not like interacting with you, I will call you by your full rank every single time I talk to you. That is a sure indicator. Take it easy, Chief Master Sergeant Petrus. That's just, we were talking about pipeline stories earlier, but there was this one gunnery sergeant that worked at dive school. He worked there forever as Gunny Torres. And he would tell the most ridiculous stories. For whatever reason, he'd wear short shorts and he would he would brief the class by putting his leg up on like the first desk. So you're like, you got like a view of home base there. But he would ask you a question. He'd be like, yeah, hooyah, Gunny. And he'd be like, is that a hooyah yes? Is that a hooyah no? Is that a hooyah go F myself? What kind of hooyah was that? And you'd just be like, ugh. But anyway, so that would be my initial don't start talking in military speak before you need to. And then further on in your career and in the pipeline, you don't need to do it then either. You can just speak in plain language. It's way more efficient.
Jeez, we start off with like the harsh judgment right off the tell us who's talks like this, Aaron. Like we need names because apparently
this so bad. We get DMs and people are like, hooyah, senior master sergeant. I'm like, I'm on Instagram, dog. I was just watching a cat video. Like, we don't need to include like my government name and title in this thing. Like, I'm just sitting here. Like, I just watched Bert Kreischer say somebody had a fat mom referring to their girlfriend. Like, it's not that serious.
But also don't forget your place where you're at, and who you're talking to as you go through the process. But there's also like the folks on Instagram that hit me up. They're like, hey, bud. And like, depending on my mood, I'm like, I'm not your bud. You can call me Trent. But like, let's not get too informal, huh? Like, strike the right balance.
I think that's a downfall of podcasts, though, too, is that you do. I mean, how many people in the world think that they have a personal relationship with Joe Rogan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it gets scary too. It gets scary when because if we were females, like that's where these dudes that, I was just watching one of my friends that she has a big following. She is an attractive female on Instagram, and no kidding, she just posted a story yesterday, something to the effect, and she showed the DMs. Like this guy had been like hitting her up for like weeks, months, years. I don't know. Like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, he thinks he knows that chick. Like, he doesn't think he's shooting a shot.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what you said was so hilarious. We would totally get along. Like, dude, that's weird. That's just a weird thing that we live in. We've seen it too. Is like somebody will DM us or they'll leave a comment, and our first reaction is like, hey, do I know you? Like, why are you talking to me like that? Like, if we were in a bar, you wouldn't just hop up and be like, you're stupid.
Dude. Well, the other day I got a message,
Mike.
the first message that someone ever sent me, and it was like, hey, I would like to hop on like a one-on-one video chat with you to like talk through some of my questions. I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, hey, let me just take some time out of my day to like talk to someone that I've never met. I don't know who you are, and you hit me up on Instagram. It's weird.
I'm sliding into your DMs, homie. There you go.
Got it.
Piles of dudes.
It's that hair.
Piles of dudes. That's my favorite thing ever. You guys must have so many people slide into your DMs. Yeah, it's all dudes. It's all 13 to 25-year-old dudes. That's what it is.
And let me just say, the vast majority of them are wonderful. It's just every once in a while you get that weird that's like, I deserve like a one-on-one mentorship session right now. Like, do you have time to hop on a call? It's like, I don't have time for that. No.
I don't have time for my kids, my dude.
Well, I mean, I think that's actually a good point of one of the do's and don'ts, right? Is understand the community you're going into, and like, we are not here. And when I say we, I don't mean like one's ready. I mean, the cadre. Yes, they are there for you to train, select, assess, and all that kind of stuff. But they are also there for the career field. As a career field, we have put them there in place to help create and train the next generation. That's what they owe you. They don't owe you anything else. Well, they owe you mentorship and stuff like that too, but that's it. They don't owe you favors. I don't know, Trent, you probably disagree with that, but like, I don't know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. I saw the wince. Like,
Trent's gonna. I love this because you can see Trent, like, and he's gonna do the same thing that he just did. Is we're gonna come up with a don't, and we're gonna be solid. All of us are gonna be like, yeah, don't do that. And then Trent's gonna go, well, I mean, maybe you do, because like he's gonna find a way to play both sides of the fence. That way, he always comes out on top.
That's what I do.
What
O is a strong word for mentorship. You know what I mean?
Okay. Should
you hit him on semantics?
Should
no. Like, I don't know.
Words have meanings. Words have meanings. Trent,
okay.
say it. Say words have meanings.
No. I'm sorry, Jared.
No, but you get what I'm saying. Like the expectation, like just randomly trying to video call you on Instagram, right?
Yeah,
I've gotten phone call because I am wild dingo with my freaking phone number, right? Is I've gotten calls. I've just gotten random calls. I'm like, oh, I don't recognize that number, and I pick it up. I almost entirely pick up my phone, no matter what, if it's ringing, and all of a sudden it's like, hey man, who is this? Oh, well, I'm like, oh man,
it's Timmy from Ohio.
Yeah, I really got to remove
Ohio.
my phone number from my signature block. Like, eesh.
Bro.
My bad.
Yeah, but understand the community going in. We yes, for us, we are here to help you, but at the same time, like those instructors out there, they have a job to do. They are focused. Their concern is the career field and making sure that you are assessed, selected, and trained for the career field. So don't assume that you're buddy. At the same time, don't assume that. Okay, so another don't would be, don't take every smoke session or every course correction so personal. It is. It is not personal. They are there to do a job, and they are there to get you where you need to be. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be willing to bet 5 minutes after a freaking smoke session, they've forgotten about it. When you're sitting there dwelling on it in your brain, like, oh my God. Sorry, Senior Siegmiller must think I'm a freaking, an idiot, and oh man, I'm such a piece of shit. And stuff
well,
like that.
he does think that. Just to get that out there, he does think that about everybody. But you're totally right, dude. Like we would, at Kirtland, we would smoke the living crap out of team, and it would be, fire and brimstone, and this is terrible, and you got a course correct, and like hey, you got to course correct. You got to do what it is that we need you to do. But we would walk into the team room and we wouldn't even talk about that. We would go talk about whatever else that we were talking. another don't is like, don't expect the instructors that you have or the cadre that you have when you graduate. You're not going to become like there's not going to be like the gladiator handshake where they're like, I knew you could do it, strength and honor, brother, welcome to the career field. Like they're there to do a job. They're there to graduate, whatever. And you're going to make personal relationships with the instructors that you go. But it's remarkably different now than it used to be back in the day. When we graduated the pipelines, or when you graduated school, there was a way bigger division between instructors and the student staff, or, the student population, and then the instructors. You almost revered the instructors. Like, it was a weird thing. The first time that I ever worked with somebody that was an instructor of mine in the pipeline, it was a really weird standoffish sort of thing. Like, hey man, how are you? And they were like, oh, I'm good. Everything's great.
Yeah.
It was the first time that you're like, oh wait, maybe they're just like regular people that have to do a job, and maybe they don't remember every single thing that I've ever done in my entire life.
But in that pipeline, they are gods.
Yeah, as close as they're gonna get, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you go back to an STS and have guys walking up to you being like, remember this one time? It's like, no. I have no. You were a face. You were a shaved head in a sea of shaved heads, in a Groundhog Day environment, my guy. Like, I don't remember that one time that you failed something or I yelled at you.
Yeah, I was working Stanival, and one of the new Jays checked in, and they were just like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Sergeant Lovo?" I was like, "Hey, nothing, man." I was like, "Hey, checking you in here. I'll sign your little in processing checklist. That's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, awesome. How have things been?" And I'm like, good. And he's like, "Okay, yeah." He's like, "So do you remember when you were an instructor of mine at Curl?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, no, man, I didn't. I had no idea who you are, but I'm glad you made it. Welcome to the 2-2."
Oh man. So don't do that. Also, don't go get speaking of depth, don't go getting stupid ass tattoos before you go in that say, or especially a green feet and lightning bolt.
I'm gonna say do that. I'm gonna say do that, and just for the instructor's sake, go out right now. Here's what you're gonna do. It doesn't matter, even if you're a TAC P, I say go for it. I say if you're just getting into death on call. If you're getting into the AFSPEC war career fields, just go ahead. You're going to make it. There's no way you wouldn't make it, right? You're going to come back with your shield or on it. So just go ahead and get the green feet and the lightning bolt, get it on your butt, right? And then make sure when you get there to show it to everybody, to let them know, like, hey, guys, I'm basically a shoe-in. I think this is a do for me.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably going to be a PJ sniper or whatever. So get like that. Others may die.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. That was a good one.
The sarcasm.
Yeah, no, that others may die. No, that's a good one. That others may die is a good one. Or have and instead of the angel, have like the demon. That was floating around for like a long time. Like there was a patch or a sticker or something, and it was like they made the angel, but it was like the angel of death, and like the world was on fire. It was like that others may die. And I was always like, yeah, all right, that is tight. Good job.
I had a buddy in high school that was going to go into the Marine Corps, and then he got the typical USMC on there, and funny enough, he quit the basic like their boot camp, and I was like, okay, well, that's
how can you work out great. Basic, can you quit in basic training?
Well, for whatever reason, he did not. Oh. Like he left, he shipped out, and then he came back. So I don't know if it was a quit or a medical, discharge or whatever.
He came back like 25 days later. You're like,
came back later.
Wait a second.
Thing you don't have a permanent reminder of that experience.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Well, now we can go into another don't, which is when you're in the pipeline, don't get too cute with what your job is and pay attention to who you're talking to. Because when you go out and you're in the local area and people are like, oh, what do you do? And you're like, oh, I'm an Air Force lumberjack. I can't really tell you. Don't aggrandize yourself. There's no reason. You could just say, I'm a student. I'm an AFSPEC war student. And then that would probably do you more service than anything else. I got to be honest with you. None of you are being recruited by the CIA in the pipeline. You can tell people that you're in the Air Force. You can tell people that
weren't. But I'm sure there's some people that were.
Right. I've heard that. I love that story too. Oh, you were a PJ? Well, I mean, no, basically I was recruited straight out of the pipeline. I graduated. I went straight to the farm, like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked with anybody ever outside of a movie.
Yep.
I don't know if you have one, Trent, but I was going to say, what's that?
I was going to go back to mentorship. Just don't assume that you know what you need from the cadre or from your developer or any of these other things. I don't know how many times in my life that I've expected more from somebody and then realized later on that I got just as much mentorship and guidance and all that other stuff that I actually needed. And if they'd actually tried to help me out earlier than I'd wanted, earlier than I needed it, that it probably wouldn't have been beneficial. So like it's like the asking stupid questions because you don't have enough data. It's like, well, this person should be doing this for me and X, Y, and Z. It's like, no. Like, trust the process as you go through it, and don't set these expectations on your developers and on your cadre that you don't really know anything about the process yet. They're gonna give you exactly what you need if you're going to be one of those people that's successful.
Yeah, it's all valid. That's the thing, though, is you don't know what you need a lot of times, right? Especially when you're in that. Sometimes you think that you need, I don't want to say time off, but like a reset or a break. In a reality, it's the whole assessment, selection, SWIC, the pipeline, whether it's the apprentice course or whatever. It's providing you that unique opportunity to be stress inoculated, because that's throughout. You are going to be put, whether it's real world or in training, you're going to be put through some stressful situations. And in order to get used to that, you have to be put through stressful situations. That's the whole, vaccines or inoculation or whatever you want to call it. Like, that's kind of how that stuff works. So if you want to be hardened, if you will, you're going to need that in the pipeline so that you don't freak out when some bad things happen. And that doesn't necessarily mean in training or operationally, right? Because training can turn into real world stuff real quick sometimes, but that could be on your way to work, or somewhere, and you come across a car accident and all of a sudden you're putting tourniquets on people, or you're yanking somebody out of a car that's on fire. Like, if you freak out during those situations because you are not stress inoculated, like, now maybe those folks and yourself die, but instead now you're able to remain calm and, again, see work, do work, right? Yank people out of cars, put tourniquets on, put tourniquets on correctly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's a little bit of like, trust the process too. We say it all the time and people are like, oh, trust the process. And then the first people that don't trust the process are the people in the process. It's the people in the pipeline. And they're like, well, I know what I need. Like, oh, we need a day off, or like, trust me, bro, I know my body. And we're like, listen, whatever happened to trust the process? Trust the process is a great statement until they don't feel like doing it. And then those are the people that usually are the least successful. As you watch those people, like, there is something really, really valid about just putting your head down, doing the work, and just being like, oh, what's this task in front of me? Okay, cool. I'm going to actually just do this thing and get into it a whole, 100% of my effort here. And magic tends to happen when you do that. So.
Well, and there's two people in every relationship, right? If you're a student and you're sitting there being like, why is this cadre member on my case every day? Like, why is this feeling a little personal? Like, you need to be grown enough, mature enough to look at yourself and be like, what am I doing? And what is the cadre member trying to get out of this? Is if I show up the next day and I don't take things personal, if I don't make faces whenever, I'm told to drop or whatever, if I'm not being dramatic, like, is this going to continue? Like, is he just trying to get me to that point where I do harden up and it will set me up for success, instead of just, like you said, taking everything personal and crying about it. And why is he doing this to me? No. That's what success looks like, is you getting over these things.
But so that instance, right? Maybe that is not personal as in like, I don't like you, but it's like, hey, as a cadre member, I recognize that you are lacking this, professionalism, military bearing, whatever it happens to be. And now I'm going to help with that mentorship or that course correction or whatever that may be. So it's, in that point, you're right. It could feel very, very personal, but it's because I need to course correct you in whatever that deficiency is.
Yeah. And we'd be lying if we said during our pipeline, of course, there were times where a cadre pulled me aside, or an instructor pulled me aside and said something, I was like, that felt more personal than it needed to be. And we all have times where you're like, sometimes, instructors are just humans, and sometimes they don't package their message the best that they could. And they kind of like get close to that line of you feeling like, oh, well, that was unnecessarily mean. You could have said what you needed to say without being so mean and calling me a fuckhead. But, here we are. But everybody is trying to do their best. Like everybody is like, it's all coming from a good place. Like when these things happen, that instructor, that operator, that whoever is talking to you, that military member that's giving you the course correction or is giving you the input, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They want you to be the best person that you can possibly be, or they want you to get in line with the organization, with the thing that they're trying to do. That has nothing really to do with you, and it has even less to do with them. So we have students that'll attach, and I say this as a guy that is, did not have like a great name amongst the students for a reason. People are like, oh, he's always so mean to me. He's always so mad. Well, I didn't give a whole lot of like positive reinforcement, because I was there to do a job, and I'm like, hey, you're not doing the job. And then when they did the job, they'd be like, check it out. Look what I did. I'm like, yeah, congratulations. You made a 70% standard. Can we go on to the next thing now? Like, I'm not really that. I know I didn't give out a whole lot of hugs, I guess. But it was
that's the funny thing, is that you'll see the difference of is like people like you, which you're talking about in terms of your mentality, and you'll have the other people like me that is the kind of coach. I'm not a yeller. I don't yell.
Yeah.
But I'll just kind of give you that disappointed dad look, and then maybe just a quick little whisper,
But both of those approaches, it's nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you as a person. It has nothing to do with anything like who you are. Or, I'll always give you the respect that you deserve as a military member and as a volunteer and as a grown human and all those other things. Like all of those things underpin it. But those two approaches, it has nothing to do with you. There's no reason why somebody should walk away from that interaction. So don't get too emotionally involved in the training process. I think that's a good don't.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a story. One time I showed up to work one morning, and the plan was to toss the dorms. I think I've told the story before, but whatever. And I show up, and the guy that was supposed to be the asshole for the day did not show up. Right? Like, this is a plan. This is planned out. And I'm like,
behind the curtain. Sometimes you got to look around the room and be like, all right, who's leading this one? All right, everybody get up for it. Let's go.
But like, I was excited to show up to work that morning. We showed up at like 2 or 3 in the morning or whatever to do this. And I'm like, I just get to be the guy that's like there, sarcastic comments, a little coaching and mentoring. Like, I got to, just like wander around and be like, you probably shouldn't have done that, moron. Like, such and such is going to come get you. But I show up, and I like that. But then I show up, and they're like, dude, Segmiller, like, can you be that guy today? And I was like,
you're like, ugh.
And so like, I had to like take a breath, drink some more caffeine, get in that mind space. And I'm like, I can do that today. So like, I'm screaming at people and saying like probably pretty horrible things for hours and like going bananas. It's not what I wanted to do. And I did like, it wasn't the plan.
Right.
That was my role for the day. So like someone else can come in behind me and be like, hey, like, you guys are being stupid. Like, let's just fix this real quick before he comes back, because he's on a roll today.
Yeah.
Like, everybody watch out for Segmiller. He's going crazy. It's like good cop, bad cop, insane cop. That's basically what the cadre do. Good cop, bad cop, insane cop.
Yeah.
Oh man. This is not, because I don't know a name of the other than Stolen Valor, but don't exaggerate what you have done. Right. That is a thing. It happens. There are folks that, and we're all guilty of it. We have all exaggerated events or things that have happened or things that we have done or things that we have seen other people do. But you got to try and minimize that kind of stuff, because just be yourself. Like, nobody cares. Just be yourself. If you did or did not do those things, it's fine. Just tell the story, if that's what it is, of as accurately as you possibly can, and then that's fine. You don't need to embellish all the crazy, and then I freaking duck the knife, and you don't need to do all that.
Well, you might, if you're going to write a book, you have to embellish some stuff, but yeah. And I do want to say one caveat. And somebody hit us up in the comments for the incorrect use of the word caveat. I don't think we've ever used the word caveat wrong on here. I'll put that challenge out. You?
I have.
You use the word, is it really? So caveat means an exception.
Speaking of like holding on to things and taking things personal, you called me out like 2 years ago on the podcast
for saying caveat wrong.
Yeah, I do remember that actually.
I still cry myself to sleep at night.
That was very personal. That was a personal attack.
This is such a great thing. We just talked about like not taking things personally. Like this person probably like you have never told me in the years that we have known each other that made you upset. So
I mean, Trent's still upset about the TAC-P officer.
I am still upset about that.
He got him.
I mean, he took it personal.
Ignoring my questions. There's a few different things.
Wow, that was you too. You know, Trent, I'm going to answer the question I wish you asked as opposed to the one that you did. That was the slickest. I still use that. Like that is one of the slickest things. To get back to the caveat that I had for you, Peaches, is just be yourself. Listen, just be yourself unless you're weird. Just stop being weird, students everywhere for every reason. New guys on team, just stop being weird. You don't have to be. If you are a weird person, just keep it to yourself. Okay, it'll do everybody a bunch of good. I don't know. I always laugh at the memes that float around. Like, just stop being weird. Just be normal for 1 second.
Well, there's an intimidation factor in there, right? Like, I mean, I really did look at my cadre as like these are
like superhumans,
God amongst men, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when you start actually talking to them, it's like, oh my God, don't say anything stupid.
Right.
I am just stupid. I just said something. Oh,
I just said something stupid. That was my favorite thing too. This episode is quickly turning into the isms of ones already and things that make us mad. You know what really grinds my gears? When I was an instructor, my number one pet peeve I had is when I would ask a direct, simple question and I would not get a direct, simple answer. Be like, hey, why did you run from here to there? All right, so Sergeant, here's the thing, right? I grew up in a pretty rough and tumble town, okay? And like, my mom was a single mom, and there was a lot of times that I didn't really know how to like process stuff. So when I was sitting here, like that really informed my. I'm like, I'm just asking you why you ran from point A to point B. Tell me why you ran from point A to point B. All right, so earlier in the briefing, right? When I said I was going to pull here, and it would just make me so mad. Like, why did you run from here to there? Oh, I thought it would better for a shooting position. Oh, okay, tight. Like half the time I'm just asking you to ask like, what was your thought process? I don't need your monologue of your entire life to tell me a simple answer. That made me so mad. so mad.
I like to go down the rabbit hole. Why? And we've talked about it. Like, the students will give you an answer, like, or it's the opposite. You're like, why'd you do that? They're like, because I thought it'd be better. I'm like, why?
Oh, yeah, but why?
Because I thought it would be like the shooting position looked like it was a better place to shoot from. Why? Like,
that's my favorite part. Like 2 questions deep.
Yeah, exactly.
So
they're only one question deep. I actually had
you. And that's so like Aaron, like a year and a half later in the pipeline, is like, why'd you do that? They're like, oh crap. Here's the full background.
Well, once I was a little boy.
I actually had a student one time look at me. It was one of the funniest interactions I ever had, and it was like FTX, like everybody been up forever. I was evaluating somebody, so at the final training exercise of the final evaluation phase for Kirtland. There is it's just like 14 straight days of mission after mission after mission, and you're getting evaluated, sometimes twice a day. And, it gets to be pretty intense, but no kidding. It was one of these things where I just walked up to this student. I can't remember what question I asked him. But I was like, hey, why did you do X? And he told me, and I was like, okay. And then I went like one step further and I was like, okay, well, using your answer, then what do you think about this? And he looked at me and he goes, I got to be honest with you. I didn't think that you were going to ask a follow on, and I don't have anything for that. And I just laughed. I was like, "That's fair enough, dude." Okay. It was one of the team leaders, right? So it was one of the enlisted guys. I was like, "Hey, why did you make your team do this as opposed to do that?" And he was like, "Oh, this is the situation I had, so I made this choice." And I was like, "Oh, okay, but did you think about that?" And he goes, "I got to be honest with you, no, I didn't, because I didn't think any more than one layer deep." And I just laughed and I just wrote a note in my book. I was like, "All right, fair enough." It just went on.
That's a pass.
Oh, that is a pass. That's a solid pass, because at least if you try to happy talk your way through a scenario, if you try to just like kill it with words, a bunch of wrong words isn't going to make me think you're right. You're not going to fool me into the answer. I'm not going to be like, oh boy, he used a lot of syllables. I think this guy really knows what's going on. Like, if you just look at me and go, I don't know why I'm here. I got to be honest with you. I would walk up to people that would be pulling security, because there's always the one dude that gets stuck on rear security while the entire problem is going on. I just walk up to that guy and be like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, honestly, I don't know, man. I'm just looking at this thing here and I'm supposed to shoot anybody. And I'm like, all right, well, security set.
That is security.
I love security. Security's the best. You know what is also the best? 18 Alpha Fitness.
18
Kevin
Alpha
Edgerton
Fitness is the best.
And the programs that he provides. He's got custom ones. He's got Go Rucks. He's got kettlebells for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu if you're a Jits boy. He's got stuff for Navy SEAL, Ranger, Q Course, and Aspect War. So based on, and the cool thing about it is these custom ones, right? He checks where your fitness level is. He knows what you're trying to go do, and he knows the timeline associated with it, because you guys are not, he's not just dumping a freaking program on you. He actually, is going to personalize these programs, and he knows what you're trying to go do and how long you have, and then he'll get you there. So I would check him out. Edge is great. So
yeah,
and I can tell you, asking us, like, hey, what should I do to get better? We're like, run more. I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
Personalized stuff. You go to Edge. Don't talk to me about this.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's to the point too where no kidding, during your intake, he will sit down with you and he'll be like, okay, what equipment do you have? If you don't have a ton of equipment, he won't make a program. Like, you won't have to look at the app and go, okay, I don't have an assault bike. This is the 4th workout in a row. I have to sub for an assault bike. Like, he will literally personalize it to where, how much time do you have in the gym each day? When are you trying to be ready to go? Where is your fitness levels now? He's got stuff like, there's breathing exercises. He programs days for yoga and days for long hikes. And man, I just can't say enough about it. So go over to 18 Alpha Fitness on Instagram, use our code ONEREADY. So the number 1 and the word ready all together, get yourself a sweet discount. But Coach Edge can walk you through everything that you need to get prepared for the pipeline. And it's every pipeline. It's not just Aspect War. It's Marines, Coast Guard, Navy, anything that you want to do that is physically demanding. Hey, those drug interdiction boys. I don't know why. Peaches, I took it personally when you said Jits boy earlier, because I've been in the Jit circle for a long time and I've never heard anybody refer to it as a Jits boy. But
I have no idea. I don't know where it came from. I told you guys I had a really late night last night.
I was just riffing.
It just happens.
So go over, use code ONEREADY with Kevin over at 18 Alpha Fitness. You can Google him and hit him up on the Instagrams. That's where he is most present. So there you go. But the number one question I would have, though, is if you're getting ready for the pipeline, where are you going to get all that gear? Where are you going to get the gear that you need to train with specifically? Trent, you have any idea?
Like, do the Coast Guard guys need rubber duckies, or what else do they need to train to be in the Coast Guard?
I think they might need fins.
They might need fins. Yeah, exactly. You can go find all that stuff on attackelite.com. It's got everything. Attack Elite selection starts here. Everything that you need, from weighted vests, those tactical smartwatches. They've got entire kits, right? And that's my favorite part about Attack Elite, is you can literally just go on there and let's say you want to be a Coast Guard rescue swimmer, Trenton, and you want to go and get everything that you need at once, your fins, your mask, your vest, everything that you would possibly need to support your training. You can just go over to attackelite.com, hit the U.S. Coast Guard rescue swimmer gear, and you'll have all of the approved gear sitting right in there. Literally everything that you would need to prep yourself for that pipeline, from ropes to swim goggles to, they've got the Essentials Recovery Pack where you can work on mobility and durability. They got everything that you need over at attackelite.com to support that journey into the pipeline. The code over there for us is ONEREADY.
Yeah. I love how you had not entertaining Trent at all.
I saw that Trent's face when I was like, oh, where is it going, Trent? His face, I was like, and I'm on my own. Okay.
He's going to start talking about aliens again.
Sorry to bother, Trent. Sorry.
I can be serious. You need the right equipment so that, different fins, different hot spots on your Achilles and stuff. Be ready.
High volume masks instead of low volume masks, so it makes it more difficult to clear your mask. That kind of stuff.
Flood your mask, do flutter kicks. That's all a training, basically.
That's it. Yeah. That's all you really need. If you get it, you'd be surprised how many people just put a mask on their face and then make these nose breathing, mouth breather dudes, cannot figure out how to just shut their nose off, and do some flutter kicks with a flooded mask. I don't understand it, but it's one of those. It's the worst thing ever.
Mask and you're jamming the hose in there while they're doing flutter kicks.
Hey, it looks like you drank all of yours. I'll refill you. You're
yeah,
welcome.
exactly. You don't think I don't know what you're doing? I could see the level in your the water level, just like, oh, look at that. It's right. Happens to be right there. Oh, let me help you out.
Oh, dudes. Yeah. Everybody out there, here's a little trick. If you smile real big, see how it makes your cheeks puff up? That'll cause a break in that mask seal. I'll get you a little bit of a break. However,
that hose gets jammed right.
I can see it a mile away. Yep. Yeah. It's a constant game of chess.
Because if you're a chronic, if you keep doing that, right, then that's when that hose gets left in that mask for the duration.
That's when it starts to feel personal.
Yep.
that is when it starts to feel personal.
But don't take it personal.
Yeah.
But that one is kind of personal.
But that one is kind of personal.
Yeah. How about the phrase "can't smoke me"?
Yes, I can. It's easy. It's not that hard at all. I've done it hundreds of times. It's not that hard at all. Even with like real like heavy restrictions on and I love this, Peaches, because can you do the voice for me? Can't smoke me, Peaches.
Not on cue. I can't do that.
Hooyah, Peaches.
Hooyah, Peaches. Hooyah.
Hooyah, Peaches. Can't smoke me.
Let's go, team. Hooyah.
No, yes, I can. I can smoke the living dog crap out of you. I can make it so that you will be so. Here's a fun story. When I was at Kirtland, we don't do anything. Like, there used to be a time when instructors would just make you do wild physical exercise, and they would just throw stuff together, and they'd be like, yeah, now we're going to do push-ups. Now we're going to do flutter kicks. Hey, everybody, there are actually there's a set plan that we have. Depending on where you are in the pipeline, there are things that we have that, like, sometimes you can't do heavy weighted carries in a certain phase of the pipeline. So those things don't end up on that little sheet of paper that have the approved list of things that you could do. Like, it's crazy, but we have science that backs this up. So even in that, there were ways to make it worse, right? I may or may not have firsthand knowledge of a team that was going through. They were in, I believe, paramedic.
So everybody may recognize or see that some things like that last episode ended kind of abruptly. That's because we had our guests come on. So no biggie. I think we were all kind of done anyway. So we just didn't want to leave the podcast just cut and dry. So thanks for subscribing and joining us, because we know that you did, and we definitely appreciate it. So like Aaron says, we always start off with gratitude. You guys got any parting shots on the do's and don'ts of the pipeline?
Aaron?
Do be a good dude. Don't be weird.
Yeah. I would say just take advantage of the life reset. Don't hold on to previous failures in your life or any of the other baggage that you're dragging along. Get rid of all that stuff. It's an opportunity to start everything over. And so don't make it sound like it was something it wasn't, but take that opportunity to figure out who you are and to become who you want to be.
Dang.
That was way better than mine. Yeah, good job.
I'm not following that. All right. See, it's not personal from Trent. He does love each and every single one of you little cherubs.
He's a real Cone sympathizer, that Trent Segmiller. He's just shh. That's what he does. He's there for hugs.
All right, everybody. Again, thanks for subscribing, and joining us. Please leave us a review, and then check out all of our partners: 18 Alpha Fitness, Attack Elite, your Eberly Stocks, Hoist, Cardo Max. These are those little packets. If you guys haven't seen them, these are it. This is that blue raspberry too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get it.
So
about to hit some of that and get to the gym. What's up?
That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Later.
It's the Gime.
That's
staying. That's staying.
God.